Have you ever stopped to think about how essential memory is to our existence? It's so much more than just a storehouse of memories. It's a living web that weaves together each moment, linking the past and present to make sense of the future. Memory is the invisible thread that ties together every thought, every lesson, every decision. Without it, we would be like leaves in the wind, lost in the sway of the immediate, unable not only to learn or grow, but even to carry out the most basic tasks, like tying our shoes. Take a moment to think. Every small act of your day is anchored in that capacity. What would you do without it? Memory not only defines us as individuals, but it's also the compass that directs the quality of our lives, because every decision we make, whether profound or seemingly trivial, is based on its records. The human mind holds a potential as vast as it is complex, a boundless promise that memory and learning bring to life. However, as Horsley points out, understanding is not enough if you can't remember. What good is understanding something deeply if that knowledge fades away into the cracks of your attention? Imagine receiving an invaluable truth, a key piece to moving forward, only to see it lost, irretrievable, in the ocean of forgetfulness. Learning comes alive and takes purpose only when information doesn't just pass through our minds, but takes root in them, ready to sprout at any moment. More than a tool, our ability to remember is a foundation. Upon it, we build not only knowledge, but wisdom, an ability that transforms information into action and purpose. In an age dominated by technology, it's tempting to think that memory is a luxury of the past. Why bother remembering when everything seems just a click away? After all, Google has all the answers, doesn't it? But pause for a moment and ask yourself, would you trust your life to a doctor who depended on consulting a manual in the middle of a critical surgery? The truth is, there are kinds of knowledge that cannot be delegated to machines. Those moments when speed and precision are essential reveal something clear. Memory is not just a useful tool, but a vital component of trust, excellence, and performance. Even more than that, memory gives us something that no search engine can provide: the ability to interpret, connect, and humanize knowledge. And here's something even more valuable. It's not just about accumulating data. Memory, like a muscle, improves with conscious training. As you sharpen this tool, you find that you not only store more, but you build an internal network capable of connecting disparate ideas, intertwining concepts, and expanding your understanding of the world around you. Think about how, by strengthening your memory, you begin to notice patterns, relationships, synergies that once went unnoticed. It's a transformative process that allows you to not just retain information, but find new ways to apply it creatively. And what about those who feel doomed to a bad memory? Many people accept this idea as an unchangeable sentence, a fixed trait that fills their days with frustration. But here's the secret Horsley shares with us. A bad memory is not a prison. It's an invitation to learn to do things differently. We aren't born with incapable minds. We are born with tools that need adjustment and focus. If you long for change, it all starts by shifting your perspective. See your mind not as flawed, but as an open field to explore new strategies and challenge your own limits. Of course, perfection is a mirage. A flawless memory doesn't exist. But excellence doesn't lie in being perfect. It lies in being consistent, in committing day after day to the process. So go ahead, embrace the challenge. Explore everything this journey has to offer, from practical exercises to transformative tips. Change begins with a decision, and now that you're here, at this starting point, only one question remains. What will you do with yours? Have you ever wondered how much power excuses have over your life? They're like shadows that slip between your thoughts, silent and subtle, yet devastating. Though they may seem harmless at first, they soon reveal their true purpose: to pull you away from your dreams and goals. Like a thief acting in the dark, each excuse steals your time, your energy, and the opportunities that lie before you. But there's something even more alarming. Not only do they hold you back at a specific moment, but if you allow them, they can shape your entire perception of what you're capable of achieving. Suddenly, excuses are no longer just small setbacks. They transform into the invisible chains that keep you trapped, far from the life you truly desire and deserve. Horsley challenges us with a simple but powerful question. What would your life be like if you eliminated those excuses holding you back? It's a challenge that invites deep introspection. Think about it. What would you do today if you stopped looking for someone to blame, stopped underestimating your own abilities, or stopped letting stress be the constant brake on your path. Excuses have a clear and destructive mission: to sow doubt, justify inaction, and convince you that it's better to stay in the comfort of the known, even if it means sacrificing your greatest desires. But here's the secret. Like any enemy, excuses only have power over you as long as you don't recognize them. The first step toward personal freedom is to face the barriers you've created yourself and question them. Among the most common excuses are thoughts that seem logical, almost reasonable. I can't do anything to change. I don't have enough talent. Or, it's too late to start. How many times have you told yourself that you need more time, or that the circumstances aren't ideal? These narratives aren't unchangeable facts. They are constructs of the mind designed to protect you from the fear of failure. But ironically, while they protect you, they keep you away from any possibility of success. Like a distorted mirror, excuses amplify your limitations, making them seem insurmountable. But here's the key. By focusing on your limits, you give them power. And by focusing on solutions, that power returns to you. Negative emotions like frustration or doubt are part of being human. You can't avoid them entirely, but what truly matters is how you handle them. Do you use them as an excuse to stop, or do you transform them into fuel to move forward? When you allow excuses to dominate you, you are consciously or unconsciously choosing an easier but barren path. True freedom lies in taking responsibility for your life, with all its complexities. Yes, it's hard work, but it's also the only path to a purposeful existence. Because in the end, your achievements and your destiny will always be a direct consequence of where you choose to focus your energy and attention. Horsley offers us a transformative exercise. Take a moment and write down the reasons you want to improve your life. Ask yourself, what would my reality be like if all excuses disappeared? By doing so, you'll notice something fascinating. You won't just be creating a clear vision. You'll be reclaiming your power. Every excuse you decide to let go of is one step closer to the life you envision. And in that process, you become someone more efficient, more focused, and more importantly, more aware of your own resources and abilities. It's not just a practical change, it's a transformation of mindset. Additionally, something essential to consider is how your attention plays a crucial role in this process. Multitasking, as explained by neuroscience expert Marilee Springer, is not the shortcut to productivity many imagine. On the contrary, trying to do too much fragments your focus, delays your progress, and increases the likelihood of making mistakes that, with a little full concentration, you could avoid. The real key is to cultivate mindfulness and eliminate distractions, both external and internal. It's in that state of absolute focus where the change you long for starts to materialize. So, what excuse will you leave behind today? It doesn't matter how small or insignificant it may seem. Every excuse you choose to release is a step toward control, power, and clarity. Because behind every excuse eliminated is a possibility waiting to be discovered. Your beliefs are like the roots of a tree, invisible but essential. They determine the depth of your connection to your goals and the direction in which you choose to grow. Although we often underestimate their influence, the power of our mind to shape reality is unquestionable. Think for a moment about how many times your thoughts have been the bridge or the barrier to what you desire. The way you perceive yourself sets an invisible but firm limit on what you believe you can achieve. However, here lies a transformative truth. When you choose to believe in your ability, you begin to unlock the potential that has always been within you. It's like adjusting a compass toward the right course. The destination may seem far, but each step brings you closer. Because, as Horsley points out, the only real barrier is in your mind. If you can imagine it, you can begin to build it. The most amazing thing about our beliefs is that they are not fixed. They are malleable, flexible. We are not chained to limiting ideas unless we choose to be. Changing the way you think requires conscious effort, yes, but every time you choose to challenge a belief that holds you back, you are reclaiming your power and moving toward a fuller version of yourself. Horsley offers us a transformative guide with 5 beliefs that, when adopted, completely change our relationship with memory, concentration, and life itself. First, recognizing that our memory is inherently excellent. Second, understanding that training it improves it even further. Third, accepting that it has no set limits. Fourth, transforming failures into meaningful lessons. And fifth, maintaining the humility to recognize that we don't know everything, but we can always learn more. These ideas not only reconfigure your mind, but open the door to a world full of possibilities and personal growth. We often mistakenly believe that concentration is a talent reserved for a few, but this perception couldn't be further from the truth. Concentration is not an innate quality. It is a skill that can be cultivated. Imagine a muscle that at first can barely lift a weight, but with constant practice, it grows stronger and can lift what once seemed impossible. This is how your ability to focus works. Every day, you have the opportunity to train this skill through small conscious decisions, turning off notifications, setting clear goals, or simply taking a moment to breathe deeply before starting a task. These are simple acts, but their impact is profound. Just as a strong body isn't built overnight, a focused mind is formed with consistency and patience. However, the real enemy of concentration is not always external. It's that internal conflict we often overlook. Self-criticism, doubts, and worries are like constant background noise that interferes with your mental clarity. But you can face it. Transform your internal dialogue. Turn it into a supportive voice instead of a judgmental one. Learn to let go of multitasking. More than a symbol of productivity, it is often the culprit of unnecessary mistakes and frustrations. Define what you truly want, allowing your mind to align with your priorities. And, above all, replace the fear of failure with intentional action. Every step forward, no matter how small, erodes the power of fear and strengthens your ability to focus. Balance. That word that seems elusive in a world full of distractions. But achieving it is possible and necessary to reach full concentration. Imagine this scene. When you work, your mind is fully immersed in the task. When you are at home, your attention is fully present with your loved ones, or with the time you dedicate to yourself. This habit, though seemingly simple, amplifies your impact in all areas of your life. Because it's not about doing a lot at once, it's about giving your all to whatever you choose to do. Did you know that you can also transform the way you remember? Most people rely primarily on hearing to retain information, but research shows that we can remember up to 4 times more if we use visual aids. Something as simple as turning an idea into a mental picture or associating information with images can work wonders for your memory. Just as you adjust your focus, adjusting your methods for remembering can boost your learning in ways you never imagined. Every great change begins in the mind, but it's the daily effort that turns it into a tangible reality. By committing to guide your thoughts, control your attention, and prioritize what matters, you will be building a solid path toward the life you've always dreamed of. So today, reflect. What limiting belief are you willing to leave behind in order to focus on your true potential? That single step could be the beginning of a transformation you never thought possible. Many people dream of having a photographic memory, a magical ability that would allow them to remember everything with ease. But the truth is, that idea is more myth than reality. Memorizing isn't about photocopying information into the mind. It's about actively participating in the process of creating memories. It's something deeply creative and personal, a kind of art in which you transform data into experiences that truly mean something to you. Instead of relying on an innate gift, this skill is available to everyone willing to develop their imagination and connect deeply with what they are learning. Imagine the feeling of reading a book you love. It's not just information that stays with you. It's the images, the emotions, and the stories that live on with you long after you've turned the last page. It's as if, while reading, you are directing your own mental movie. The words become vibrant scenes, full of details that bring them to life. This happens because our imagination has the ability to turn learning into a rich and lasting experience. When you use your imagination, you learn more deeply because you engage both your mind and emotions at every step of the process. You're not just collecting data, you're building meaningful memories. Horsley introduces the SEE principle as a powerful tool to unlock this potential. This method, which includes 3 key elements, feel, exaggerate, and energize, guides us toward a more dynamic approach to learning. Feel involves using all your senses to build detailed images. Exaggerate means taking those images to the extreme, adding humor, drama, or absurd touches that make them unforgettable. And energize is about bringing them to life, turning them into scenes that dance, sing, or move in unexpected ways. This method not only improves learning effectiveness, but also makes it more fun and dynamic. And the best part is that when learning becomes fun, it also becomes faster and more efficient. For example, let's say you need to remember that Athens is the capital of Greece. With the SEE principle, you can transform this idea into something creative and memorable. Imagine an elegant dinner on a Greek beach, playing with the sound of sinas, surrounded by sparkling waves and the flashes of a Mediterranean sunset. Maybe the waiter serving dinner wears a laurel crown and dances sirtaki while the music fills the air. That image, created by you, gets etched into your mind because it's infused with creativity, humor, and emotions. Another powerful approach is the journey method, a technique that structures your memories through imaginary places. Think of a familiar place, like your home, and assign specific points within that space: the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom. Then, connect each point with images built using the SEE principle. If you're memorizing concepts, you might place one idea on the living room sofa. Perhaps you visualize a book glowing like a lamp, another in the kitchen refrigerator, a talking fish looking for a recipe, and another on the bedroom bed, a magical pillow telling stories. This method not only organizes information efficiently, but also transforms the memorization process into a mental adventure. Every time you walk through that imaginary space, you reinforce what you've learned and integrate it into your long-term memory. It's crucial to remember that memory is not an exclusive talent. It's a skill that's perfected with consistent practice. Just like a muscle responds to training, your mind strengthens every time you challenge it to learn in new and creative ways. The more commitment, curiosity, and imagination you bring to the process, the more effective the results will be. Conscious repetition and creative practice not only improve your memory, but also the way you process and enjoy learning. So, why make learning boring or rigid? Fill it with color, emotion, and life. Turn the mundane into the extraordinary, transform data into stories, and connect information to something that excites you. In the end, learning isn't just about acquiring knowledge. It's an act of creation and connection, a way to live with more purpose and creativity. So, the next time you need to remember something, don't just try to memorize it. Give it life. Make it unforgettable. Your mind is an extraordinary tool, a complex universe capable of connecting ideas, building associations, and transforming concepts into something you can understand, remember, and apply. This ability to interrelate thoughts is the pillar of what we call creative memory. Every time you find a relationship between what you already know and what you are learning, you build a bridge that makes that new information more solid and lasting. But this doesn't happen by chance. The more meaning you find in an idea, the deeper it integrates into your memory, as if you were planting roots that connect it to your entire system of thought. A powerful step to strengthen this ability is to make the process of remembering creative and exciting. A simple and effective strategy is to build meaningful stories with what you need to remember. Imagine you have a list of important words or concepts. Don't leave them as isolated elements in your mind. Transform them into vibrant keywords. Give them a personality or a unique image, and connect them in a narrative that provokes emotions or sparks vivid images. For example, if you need to remember a series of products, imagine them coming to life and embarking on an epic mission. This narrative not only helps you remember easily, but also turns learning into something dynamic and enjoyable. The technique of association is not limited to complex or abstract concepts. It can also be a powerful tool to tackle everyday situations, like remembering names. This often underestimated challenge can become an opportunity to strengthen relationships. This is where the 4 C's come into play. Concentrate. When you meet someone, giving them your full attention. Create a mental image representing their name. Connect on that image with their face or personality. And capture the opportunity to repeat their name during the conversation. It's not just about memory. For many, remembering and using their name is a gesture that conveys respect, genuine interest, and courtesy. Dale Carnegie already warned us, few things are sweeter to someone than hearing their own name spoken with intention and care. But the magic of connection doesn't end with names. It also extends to other areas where memory can seem challenging, like numbers. How can you transform a string of digits into something meaningful? One answer is to create associations that turn the numbers into memorable words or images. Let's say you want to remember 1310. With a bit of creativity, it could be transformed into the word tomatoes, and immediately you visualize a bowl full of these fruits. Combining numbers with sounds and words frees your memory from the weight of abstractions and turns the intangible into something you can mentally grasp. If you add the power of the C principle, feel, exaggerate, and energize, you get an unbeatable formula. Use your senses to shape rich images, exaggerate them, giving them a humorous or extraordinary twist so that they stick in your mind, and energize them by adding movement, music, or elements that make them vibrate with life. Imagine that 1310 is not just tomatoes, but these tomatoes come to life and race around your kitchen, sliding between knives and dodging the hot pan. The more ridiculous or animated the images are, the easier they will be to remember. Of course, adopting these strategies requires a bit of patience and practice at first. At the beginning, the techniques may seem complex or unnatural, but don't be intimidated. Like any other skill, creative memorization improves with repetition. Every time you apply these methods, your mind adapts, your imagination awakens, and your ability to learn grows exponentially. The key is to remember that memory is not just a data file, it's a living canvas, a fertile ground where you can plant the seeds of knowledge and watch them bloom with creativity and purpose. So, the next time you face the challenge of memorizing something, don't approach it with rigidity or tedium. Use your imagination, connect what you've learned to something meaningful to you, and shape an experience that makes learning a vibrant process. Because in the end, remembering is not just a matter of technique, it's a creative act that reveals all the potential your mind has to offer. Art has the power to go far beyond being a mere form of expression. It is also a transformative tool that can help us remember information and establish deep connections in our memory. Imagine the potential of turning abstract data into tangible images, whether physical or digital. By doing so, learning stops being a monotonous exercise and becomes a multisensory experience. But it's not just memory that is strengthened. The spark of creativity is also ignited. It's as if you were creating your own personal knowledge museum, a space where each image, collage, or illustration comes to life by associating with what you've learned. Every time you revisit these visual representations, you are renewing the bridges that connect that information to your mind. This multisensory approach has a profound impact, as the brain processes images much more effectively than words alone. According to research, images evoke emotional responses, and those emotions are the key to building lasting memories. So every time you design a digital collage or commission an illustrator to capture your ideas, you're not just organizing information, you're telling a story that your memory will hardly forget. However, art is just part of the puzzle. To consolidate what you learn, you need something even more powerful: self-discipline. This virtue, which seems simple in theory, but in practice transforms scattered dreams into concrete and achievable goals. What many overlook is that self-discipline does not mean living with unbearable restrictions or extreme sacrifices. Rather, it is a daily pact with yourself. It is your constant decision to act in favor of what you desire, even when inspiration and enthusiasm are not on your side. Think of self-discipline as the engine that drives your journey between where you are now and the destination you aspire to. The first step in this journey is to visualize your goal clearly, to the point of feeling it as an integral part of you. If you can see it in detail, you can move toward it with purpose. But visualization without action remains in the realm of dreams. That's why you need to identify what barriers you are willing to break down, excuses, doubts, or habits that hold you back. This is the moment to remind yourself that you don't need to feel inspired all the time. Some of the most significant breakthroughs occur precisely on those days when you choose to act, even when motivation is lacking. It is in that conscious choice where you build a strong, adaptable, and above all, unstoppable character. As you cultivate this solid foundation of self-discipline, the process of reviewing and reinforcing your knowledge becomes your most powerful ally. Learning something new is no guarantee of remembering it. To truly retain it, you need commitment and strategy. This is where the concept of spaced repetition comes into play. It is a practice that, with consistency, can turn forgetting into timeless learning. Imagine setting up a schedule, a review 1 hour after learning something, then the next day, 3 days later, and so on until reaching periods of months. Each review refreshes and reinforces the details, connecting that knowledge with previous layers of information, making it not only memorable, but also useful. The wonderful thing is that this process doesn't have to be boring or take up a large amount of time. Incorporate what you've learned into your daily life. Explain to someone what you discovered, use it in everyday tasks, or even build stories around the topic. For example, if you're learning about a historical concept, you could imagine what it would be like to live in that era, or what role you would play in that context. This approach not only helps you remember, but transforms what you've learned into something truly meaningful to you. It's alarming to think that, according to studies, the average student forgets up to half of the information just one day after a class. And in less than a month, that number drops to 20% or less. How many times have we struggled to learn something only to feel it slipping through our fingers? This is where the value of having a system lies. Combine your creativity, self-discipline, and review to take control of your learning. Turn what could be forgotten into solid knowledge that integrates into your daily life. Remember, all of this is more than memorization. It is about connecting, internalizing, and growing. Knowledge that is not used fades, but knowledge that you review, apply, and reflect on becomes an extension of yourself. So use art as inspiration, self-discipline as a foundation, and review as reinforcement to build not just exceptional memory, but a creative and agile mind capable of conquering any challenge. True change never happens overnight. It is a process that requires not only consistency and dedication, but also the courage to make a conscious decision, to transform your life from the inside out. At this moment, you have two paths in front of you. One invites you to remain static, holding on to the hope that circumstances will change on their own. The other, the less traveled but infinitely more rewarding, pushes you to take action and start doing things differently. The reality, though simple, has immense power. If you keep doing the same thing, the results will always be the same. Life doesn't change until you decide to change. Take a moment to reflect. What kind of change do you desire for your life? Is it a distant dream or a tangible purpose? Because the truth is that by reading these words, you already have the tools to take the first step, and you don't need a grand transformative act to start. In fact, every great change begins with small but firm steps. The secret is not in waiting to feel ready, but in starting precisely when doubts invite you to stop. Think of Kevin Horsley's story, a living example of what can be achieved with deliberate practice. Although many consider him a memory genius, he himself demystifies the idea of special talents or photographic memories. Instead of relying on luck, Horsley deeply understands how the mind works and uses this knowledge as a foundation to apply simple strategies over and over until they become part of him. There's no magic in his success. There is only creativity, discipline, and the decision to act consistently. This lesson is also for you. Dedicate time to the methods and principles you've learned here. As you practice them, you'll notice something interesting. They become easier and more natural. Deliberate repetition creates new neural pathways in your brain, turning the unfamiliar into familiar and the complicated into simple. But don't feel bound to follow a rigid path. Adapt these strategies to suit your needs and lifestyle. The most powerful learning comes from experimentation. There's no one-size-fits-all formula, but there are endless ways to personalize change and make it your own. And remember this: perfection is not the goal. Progress is much more valuable than an illusion of unattainable perfection. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are necessary steps on the path to success. In fact, some of the most significant discoveries are born precisely from those moments of apparent stumbling. Cultivate patience with yourself, and trust that, over time, every small effort will bear fruit. But don't let the journey be only a struggle. Find ways to enjoy it. The process of personal growth can be as fun and creative as you choose to make it. In the moments when demotivation appears, as it inevitably will, take that opportunity to challenge your limiting thoughts. The key is to feed your curiosity. A defeatist mindset makes us ask ourselves, why do I have to do this? It's too hard. But this kind of thinking only perpetuates stagnation. Instead, change those questions for others that push you forward. How can I benefit from this? What new opportunity lies behind this challenge? Curiosity has a unique power. It turns obligations into explorations, difficulties into learnings, and the monotonous into something full of purpose. Never forget this powerful truth. Every small effort you make in the present has the potential to build a future that you can't yet imagine. Every action, no matter how small it seems, is a brick in the structure of the life you are building. Embrace this process with enthusiasm and perseverance, knowing that what awaits you on the other side of effort is infinitely greater than any obstacle you encounter along the way. Change isn't easy, but it is always, always worth it. And so, we come to the end of this incredible journey toward limitless memory. Thank you for staying until the end and dedicating this time to strengthening your mind. What you've learned here is just the beginning. Remember, your ability to learn, remember, and apply everything you've discovered today is in your hands. And the best part is that the transformation process continues. Keep exploring, keep creating, and let your memory become your most powerful tool. If you like this content, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you never miss new resources that will help you keep growing. Share this audiobook with those who are also ready to unlock their unlimited potential. See you next time, and keep growing, always.